2021 New Zealand National Volleyball Championships. I'm Dave Kildy from Volleyball New Zealand, and we're thrilled to have you here with us on skysportnext for Finals Day. The National Secondary School Volleyball Championships is the largest indoor secondary school sporting event in New Zealand. We've had 176 teams representing 113 schools here with us this year, and it's been fantastic. The school pride, the skill level on show, the talent has been amazing. We've had 20 courts here at Central Energy Trust Arena, absolutely pumping from 8 AM in the morning to 10 PM at night, 5 days this week. Another 3 courts at Massey University, and it culminates in this today, Finals Day, where 6 divisions duke it out to see who can be named the #1 secondary school in the country. We're thrilled to have you here with us on Sky Sport Next. We hope you enjoy the volleyball. The skill level is amazing, the skill pride is amazing, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the show.
Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at the 2021 Secondary Schools Volleyball National Championships in the sunny, balmy Palmerston North. My name is Warren Smith. I'll be one of your commentators today. And we have with me Brendan Crichton, the head coach from the Nayland women's volleyball team. So welcome everybody. We're looking forward to a very, very exciting, very, very competitive young men's final. I suppose we should call these guys men's. They're certainly not boys.
No, they're not. They are big boys, and they can hit a ball.
Sure can. Anyway, for you folks out there, we hope you enjoy the commentary today. Obviously, we're looking forward to acknowledging a lot of people and a lot of people's efforts along the way. First and foremost, just want to say, Brendan, on behalf of Volleyball New Zealand, obviously, we have to give a lot of credit to the organisers of this event. In the COVID world that we live in, I think we're very fortunate to be here today, to be having a game like this. Certainly over the last 5 days we've had some pretty incredible volleyball, and it's been a real pleasure to be here. So thank gosh that we are in the situation that we are in, and life is good.
Yeah, I agree, Warren. I mean, we've had a great week weather-wise. I mean, it sounds silly when we're playing indoor, but still makes a big difference. The kids can get out and about, and you're not walking in with rain from outside, from outside indoors. VNZ have just put on a great event here. I mean, this year too, with the Terraflex floor we've had for the first time ever, and it's just, you look at the setup here, just international standard, international quality with the stands around here, and you think we've got our young secondary school athletes at the top of their game having the opportunity to play in front of, I don't know, maybe 700-800 people here on this sort of surface. You couldn't want for anything else.
No, it's an absolutely spectacular setting for today's game, that is for sure. And I suppose overall we've got to introduce the 2 teams today. This is a very, what you'd call a traditional battle between the Auckland team of Rangitoto and the Bay of Plenty team from Whakatane Trident High School. By far the 2 top teams here at this tournament. We've had a lot of competitors try to come and take these guys away from this final. They've all failed to deliver. And these 2 teams are certainly the top 2 that we're looking at today. And I'm pretty excited. This is going to be a good final, this one.
Yeah, it is. There's going to be a lot of power. I don't think there'll be much finesse. Well, there will be with the passing and the defence, but there'll be some boys flying through the air. These boys can jump. They are athletes.
Yes, that's very true, very true. And hey, I suppose let's take a little bit of time to also acknowledge some very special people. I'd like to acknowledge Tony Marie Carney as the CEO of Volleyball New Zealand, who has literally worked tirelessly to get this event underway. The Palmerston North Volleyball Club and the people involved, the volunteers that come along and have helped this event get off the ground. Without them, we go nowhere. So a big thanks to them. Volleyball New Zealand as an organisation are basically run through the goodwill and the hard efforts of an incredible amount of volunteers. And whether they are also the coaches or the managers of the players that are here. And certainly a big shout out to the whānau out there who have their kids here this week, and have been having an absolute blast. 2,200 kids in this gym over the course of the last 5 days. It's been absolutely epic to watch.
Yeah, it has. And just to add to what Warren's saying, we've also got the volunteer referees, the VNZ refs that are here, putting in as much time and effort they can. I mean, I've got to put a massive shout out to Mike Kopp who's the tournament controller, who's come all the way up from Dunedin, taken time away from Otago University where he works, to like those guys like Tony Marie and the staff at VNZ and Mike Kopp and that. They're here at 7 o'clock in the morning and they're leaving at about midnight and that's been the last 5-6 days, probably since Sunday. It's just massive in regards to behind the scenes of what is put in by people, and to put this event on, and and it's a great place to come here, Palmy North, easy to get around, accommodation's good, it's quite central in New Zealand for all our teams to get to as well, and it's just great to be back here after being absent last year as well, and it's just bigger and better. Every year I come to this, it just gets better and better and better, and even going to skysportnext with live stream, and it's just fantastic. And the kids here this week, we've had 4 courts live stream, everyone's had good exposure, and I know we've had people from around the world watching. 90% of our audience has been within New Zealand on the live stream, and 10%'s been overseas. That's from America, UK, I've seen Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, what an incredible event, and again, so lucky to be here. And at the same time, look, we need to mention a few others along the way. We've got some sponsors here who, without their gracious support, we wouldn't be able to hold these events in the way that we do for the kids themselves, and that's Selming, the official footwear sponsor for Volleyball New Zealand. Dynasty, which is the official apparel sponsor. Frequency, the VNZ partner in athlete development, another big aspect of what I do, and particularly as one of the under-19 national coaches for beach volleyball. The work that we enjoy based on the support that we receive. Can't do that without companies and organisations like Frequency that help us along the way. Well, Palmerston North City Council, thank you so much for your efforts. Again, great hosts. Very pleased to be here. Great arena. This place continues to be the iconic venue. Like I said, to put 2,200 kids in one room is a pretty massive effort. Sport Manawatu, Volleyball Manawatu, Massey University, the Mainland Foundation and the NZCT round off those who have spent their money to help us facilitate an event that can only be considered iconic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been coming for, I think, 18 years now, and not that it's been here every year, and I think we mentioned this in the girls' game as well. I think last time, 2007 in Tauranga, but I mean, that's, 14 years ago, if my maths serves me correct. So, it's been here for a long time, and like Wazza said, it's become iconic because of that as well. And the kids look forward to this every year, the volleyball kids, and I know it's something at the school I'm involved in and the region I'm involved in at high school level. The kids are talking about next year already now. And it's such a great event that's just been put on by everyone, and they come back because of that, because of the people involved, the whānau involved, the way VNZ's doing things. And VNZ have made some massive strides in the last couple of years. I think since Tony Marie's come on board, transformed a lot of things within New Zealand volleyball, or Volleyball New Zealand, for the good. It's just bigger and better and badder in a good way.
Yeah, totally agree. And the good thing is Tony Marie back in the day was the CEO of Sport North Harbour, so she's got a really good understanding of what it is to develop a community of sport, and she's brought all of that knowledge and good intellectual property to us, and we certainly are reaping the benefits of that now. So as we just are finally getting ready to go, Rangitoto today obviously playing in red, and the Trident boys in white, which will be quite good. Unfortunately, not the same colour as the old Kashmir senior boys team that I coach. They're in the maroon and yellow. Unfortunately, they're not on the court there today, but that's just the way life goes. But a big shout out to my young men as well. Great week of volleyball they've played. Great young men, great character. And I think there won't be a coach in this gymnasium who won't be saying the same about the teams that they coach.
Oh, look, I agree. The kids we have involved in this sport, they're awesome. There's good kids at every school, and they're all here. That's how I feel anyway. I'm pretty passionate about the sport, and I'm passionate about teenagers in sport, and I love the fact this tournament is so big. There's opportunity for everyone. We've got 170 odd teams here. about 100 girls teams, 70 odd boys teams across all divisions. They all get the opportunity to play for some silverware. They all find their level and they just have a ball. And they'll remember this when they're old like me and Warren, you know. I mean, well, I'm in my 50s and I'm not sure if Woz is quite there yet, but I mean, yeah, I know these kids.
I'm in my 40s plus GST, unfortunately.
So there you go. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, what more could we want? And to round the week off with, you know, this boys final, I think it'll be a barn burner. We've got two awesome teams, very well coached teams as well. I don't think Rangitoto have been here before. If they have, it was a long, long time ago. Trident, a perennial top 4 team in New Zealand. They've definitely been here. They're always there or thereabouts sniffing around this title. And they'll be, I imagine, I don't know how many have won as a school, but they'll be looking to get another one in Rangi, you know, if they haven't done so already, just getting another one in the trophy cabinet at school as well.
That's right. And I'd like to also obviously give a bit of a shout out to Graham Walker, who originally came from Kawerau into the Trident program many years ago. He brought the passion into that community for volleyball, and certainly since Graham was involved, who's now retired, but the legacy lives on, and we're now seeing that in the culmination of these young men in the final. These are also, I said from my perspective as a beach volleyball national coach, there are a number of players playing out there today who are in my squads, and I'm extremely proud to see these young men now standing on a bigger stage and getting ready to, I suppose, show the world what they've got. Yeah. A lot of these kids, you know, they're going to be using this video to get themselves overseas at some stage, potentially on scholarships. I know that some of these young players here are looking to go away to a World Championship later this year with me for the beach volleyball. So these are exciting times for these young men.
We've got Trident up serving to start with. Rangi with the first attack. Oh, some amazing defence there.
Already we're seeing a big game unfolding. Oh, and there we have it, a massive block by Trident on young Ethan Skelton. There's a couple of big names out there. Ethan in particular is certainly one of our premier athletes currently in New Zealand in the young men's game. Number 11 for Rangitoto as well. Nico Leitz, the big fella, big lefty. He's able to swing a ball. Another great defence by Trident. And Campbell Forsyth crossing the ditch.
Crikey, if the first 2 points are anything to go by, I'm really going to be looking forward to this. It's going to be a treat.
Cracker, yep. And also it's a bit of a shout out certainly to the coach of the Rangitoto team, Mr. Johan Timmer. He's a current national squad member for both beach volleyball and indoor. A graduate of the University of Hawaii and a scholarship there. Oh, a nice combination ball by Whakatane. Play carries on. Nice tipping. There we go. So still good level of action. Nice defence again, setting up on a nice strategy. And Campbell Forsyth just tidying their mess up for Trident. Campbell Forsyth from Trident, he's probably the guy to look at there, number 12. Another one of my squad members again. And he's a big unit, got some serious hops.
No, he's explosive too, you know, and a lot of these guys are, but I think too, you know, just with Johan too, the Rangi coach, you know, he's the New Zealand Game Development Officer as well, so volleyball is his life, probably like a few of us, but he's a relatively young rooster actually, so, but you know, he was scholarship for the University of Hawaii, played at an exceptionally high level in NCAA in the States, in beach and in indoor, and to have his expertise, you know, touched on some of these kids, and with Warren with the beach stuff, but he's also had involvement with these kids who are indoor, and it's just great that we've got these calibre people around the volleyball scene in New Zealand. So a pretty tight start here from both sides, you know, evenly matched. So
there's the first bit of nervousness we've seen. Those first few points were a good battle. Obviously the teams now will start to feel the adrenaline a little bit as the moment sort of approaches them that they're here now. The game has begun. A little bit more time to think about what's going on, and sometimes that can be a good thing, sometimes not. Trident making the first real sort of technical area of the game.
And you want to see, middles are normally the bigger players, but you want to have a look at the middle for Rangi. He can jump. Don't be deceived by his size.
Yeah, he's a short fella, but man, he's got some hops, that's for sure. And anyway, if you're a bit new to watching the game and you're trying to understand a little bit more about volleyball, the height of that net, just to give you some comparison about how high these kids are jumping, the top of that net is 8 foot. If that's any comparison, the old stippled roofs in the houses back in the day, that was an 8-foot roof. That's how high these guys have to get to just to get over top of the net. So when you see somebody putting their head over there, you know they are high.
And it's amazing, they make it look easy, to be honest.
They do make it look easy. Up to serve is Ethan Skelton. Nice easy float serve taken easily by Trident, and there we go. Again, Campbell Forsyth just burying that ball.
A great set from the setter there, quite a bit of deception. We'll see here on the replay. And that is on the money. It's fine knowing, from a defensive point of view, knowing who the targets are in the other team. It's a different matter stopping them.
Yes, indeed. Great serve by Forsyth. I think there's there we go. Great placement of the bat to the side of the court. This is going to be one of those games. We're going to have our big boppers going at this, but oftentimes we're going to see those sort of bit players, the guys who do the little bits around the work, the foot soldiers, are often the ones that win these big games, because their job is to deliver a quality ball so that the big hitters can get their job done. So if you're seeing that sort of thing happening around you, there's another great pass by Whakatane, and dead.
Whoa, crikey.
Salem Tuai, one of our new squad members, and he's another prodigious talent with serious set of hops on him as well.
I mean, that's a massive hit. That's inside the attack line or inside the 3 metre line there, and that is not easy to do, especially when you've got a big block in front of you like that as well.
Looks like he's going to range up for a big jump serve. Yep, good start. Nice pass by the Rangitoto libero, and Nico Leeds using that big 6'9" frame to get that ball cross court. Big lefty. Bit of a rarity in our sport. Lefties not so much, but big tall ones is not so often. And I think that this is one of those kids that certainly has got a future overseas, if that's the pathway he chooses. Yeah, nice push there. Nice work by the setter to control a poor pass by Trident. Got the ball and was able to use a bit more muscle to get that ball inside. Yeah,
strong joust there. Just last a touch will normally win that, even if you're a smaller athlete. And that was point in case there. And just great to see that big crowd in behind these boys as well. A fantastic look.
Just a very slight miss there by the Trident server. Yeah, I think that once it gets the crowd's here to see some big volleyball, see some good stuff happening. So wait till we see that first big block. Then we'll hear the stadium rattle a little bit.
You're right, Warren. We haven't seen that yet. I've been very impressed with the tidiness of the serve, of the passing and the serve received from both teams, actually.
Yeah, both teams are operating at a very high technical level. That's for sure. It seems obviously from a spectator's point of view, it probably looks a little bit simple, but these are very, very difficult skills to master. These young men have obviously put in an enormous amount of hours in the gym to get good enough at these skills to be able to perform even under this kind of pressure. You know, you've got 2,000 people sitting here watching this game. It's the pressure cooker. It's the big dance for our sport, particularly at this level. One of the biggest sporting events for high school students in the Southern Hemisphere, and so they understand what this moment is and what they've got to perform. Nice long rally here, good work. Everybody's picking up nice and easily on this. Good set out to the outside, and unfortunately Trident mishit the ball to the outside.
Yeah, he just didn't quite transition back for a run up there, and I think it just showed with a little bit of lack of timing there. He just couldn't climb into the ball in front of him, and just with that standing jump and a big block in front, just tried to do a little bit too much with it.
Yeah, and Rangitoto now pulling out to a 3-point lead early on. They're just chipping away at these points, much like Burnside did in that last game for the girls. We're seeing just some mature volleyball, I think would be the way to put it. All we want is little bite-sized chunks. The team gets ahead in little steps, not big ones. So another small error there from the Rangitoto team. Puts Trident back on serve to try and reduce that deficit. Yeah, that's a good serve, putting the others under pressure. And Skelton solves the problem for them with a little bit of a deft touch underneath the block.
Yeah, that very smart play there, like just seeing where that block is and just pushing underneath it, like Warren said, and a point's a point. Doesn't matter what it looks like, they all add up. You know, both these teams here look very composed. They certainly look like they know what their job is and their roles, and they are very focused at the moment, which is great. Certainly both teams working really hard for that block.
It's been called out by the line judge. They had to hit the ball onto the antenna. Today we've got two very able referees. Tim Hull is our first referee. He's a very long-standing international referee, great amount of experience, and ably assisted on the other side by a new referee in the scene who's coming along very nicely from Wellington. And here we go now. Back to a nice rally. Skelton trying to do something a little bit offhand there. Didn't quite work. Setter's not quite getting the ball out far enough to him for him to use his big 6-foot frame. Yeah,
I think he's just trying to be a little bit clever on that, and he probably, you know, sometimes a bit more aggression there may have been the way to go on that.
There's the big lefty just taking a nice easy route to the back court there for the ball.
He just looks so smooth, Warren. Like, he doesn't look like he's, you know, he just looks like he's under control with everything he does. When you're that long and lanky, I suppose he's, you know, great that he is so coordinated like that, and I agree. I mean, they like gold, a 6'9" left-hander. Crikey.
Here's Skelton winding up a little bit. Oh, puts the pressure on. Nice serve, and that's one of the things about Skelton's serve. You'll find that it's really nicely variable. He'll hit a hard jump serve, he'll hit a float jump serve. He's looking to move the ball to keep disrupting the passes, make them think more and more about what's happening. Forsyth absolutely rips the serve there. Leitz is put under pressure to get that ball down. He's getting another shot at it, plays it nicely, but Forsyth is all over it. And here we have it, the first big block of the game. That gets the crowd moving. Leitz just read that beautifully.
That is huge. Look at that. Great on the replay. That is just perfect.
He's
happy.
Enjoying that, isn't he?
Yes. I would be too, but it's never going to happen with me. Maybe off a mini tramp. Yeah, definitely both teams are targeting quite a deep serve.
Indeed, and I think that the Trident Libero hasn't really started as strongly as we've seen him in the previous games of the tournament, so he's going to have to sort of step up his accuracy a little bit.
It's a great set.
Yeah, both teams have pretty able setters. I don't think they're not the highest quality setters that I've seen at the tournament, but what they do is they deliver to their own teams very well, and I think that, that's the crux of it. You don't have to be absolutely brilliant; you just have to be brilliant for your team. Great block there by Trident. Great setup again. 2-eye through the middle and just destroys that ball. That's the kind of action and dynamism that the sport of volleyball can show you. What a great athlete.
And these players, Warren, you know, they are more than capable to go on to the next level.
Easily. Most of these guys are already in adult teams, clearly looking for also higher honours. Vast majority of these guys are already in national squads and have that kind of capability. The thing for me, from a coaching perspective, is that we want to see these guys heading offshore and getting that higher level international experience, because we can't, in New Zealand, we can't afford to put these guys into full-time programs. That's why when they get overseas on scholarship or professionally in Europe, for example, that's where all of that work is done. Top dig from the libero there. Forsyth up for the kill, can't make it. Skelton picks up an easy ball.
Yeah, and they've just got the resources overseas, and it's what it comes down to. Their program is very well structured, and some of those programs are very historical as well, along with the competitions that they play in. And these guys come back and get involved, like Johan, who's taking the Rangi boys, is a classic, example.
Bringing the IP back home.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Trident have got themselves a little bit There we go. Back to 1 point now, because at one stage Rangitoto were leading by 4, but slowly but surely Trident have crawled it back. This is just a little bit of a lull in Rangitoto's game at the moment. Usually happens about this time. As I said before, the adrenaline's kind of worn off and now the routines have to start. And of course what we're seeing is Trident taking a little bit of an advantage of that and just bringing themselves back into the game. Oh, great work by the setter. That's classic.
Great dump there. And, you know, this, I mean, we're 2/3 through the first set. It's flown by. It seems like we've only been here 5 minutes and it's going real quick. Those teams are siding out very, very well and very, very quickly. And again, much like the girls' game earlier, it's been very, very clean.
Yeah, putting Leitz under pressure. No, he doesn't get the return ball, and Skelton with a quick arm.
That's a great save, because it wasn't the best set to work with there.
I think Skelton is one of these players who also has a bright future in the sport, very quick thinker. In that situation there, he saw the blocks were late, so he decided to hit the ball quicker and not necessarily with power. And the blocks, of course, caught up, but not enough, and that means that the ball gets wiped off the side. A very intelligent player.
Yeah, I sometimes wish, Warren, with athletes like that, where do they find them? I mean, come to my school.
Beautiful swing of the ball. Forsyth deciding to take a little bit of control there. Yeah, it's a little bit like that, isn't it? You know, it's the Stephen Adams analogy, isn't it? Where do these guys pop up from? And if you're lucky and you've got a good school where somebody like that pops into the system, and it's pretty easy to take advantage of that. But most of the time, we have to take this for what it is, and it's a coach's sport in many ways. They're able to produce athletes of this calibre through the work and the dedication that they put into their craft.
I agree, especially here in New Zealand. The schools that have got reasonable programs, and it's all based around the volunteers of the coaches, and they're the ones that constantly pop their heads up. Yeah. You know, the top sort of 20 or so schools have got consistently the same people looking after their boys and girls teams, and they're always there or thereabouts all the time. All our schools have got good athletes. And what I quite like about volleyball, we don't get a lot of what we get in other sports and secondary school sports in New Zealand, with kids changing schools. Yeah, sure, we get the odd one or two, but not like some of the sports which will remain nameless, but where they can have a lot of change. And I know New Zealand Secondary School Sports Council work hard in that space to stop that happening, but we do know it does. But volleyball is one sport that's quite rare.
Yes, and so long be it. I think that inevitably one of the great things about our sport is the diversity. We've got, I suppose, the cultural mix of our country is represented in the cultural mix of our sport.
It is,
and that's one of the great things about it. Not everybody has to be in the Warriors training squad, and not everybody's playing water polo. So it's one of those things where, you know, the whole range of New Zealand culture is represented here during this week in particular, and it's great to see.
And it's not just the volleyball on the court, it's the social aspect of it. I mean, you know, the kids are very supportive of their peers, and also the players from their own region, boys and girls, and very few sports have that. And I think it just creates just a fabulous atmosphere for our sport and for our athletes.
Agreed. And here we have Johan Timmer taking the first time out as the game has now closed back up again. Rangitoto have lost that 4-point advantage that they had sort of that early midway through the set, and Trident have slowly but surely crawled their way back in here on a couple of errors by Rangitoto. The level of that we're seeing here in terms of that technical control still impresses me. It, like I said, for everyone else out there, it just seems to look a little bit simple, but there's no way that it is simple in itself. These guys have fantastic ball control. It's taken a long time to develop that, like every other sport, of course. It, I suppose, as they say, if it was easier to be called basketball. But which, of course, I showing a little bit of disrespect to the basketballers, but I can always assure you that this gym here is full of as many basketballers as there are volleyballers, because as cross code goes, there's an awful lot of those guys who will finish this season and transition into their basketball programs at their schools as well. And certainly we know that basketball are thankful for the work that we do to prepare their athletes for their season.
Oh, I haven't seen that letter.
Here we go. Leeds having a swing, but no, can't get it through. That's great pressure by Trident again. What they're doing, Trident, is that they're just playing a mature game. They put up 3 blockers there, not necessarily because they're going to block the ball, but that means that Nico Leeds there, the left-hander, had lots more to think about. And they create that kind of pressure for the hitter then to try and work his way out. What solutions can he find? In that case, he came up with no solutions at all. And there we have an ace serve from Trident. And all of a sudden, Trident, first time in the game, they're up by 2 points. They've taken that early early problems, put them to bed, and are now starting to roll on a little bit. And of course, what we're after now is Rangitoto to answer that, see where they come up with. Oh, Leeds is put under pressure again. He's going to have to try and kill this ball in some way, but no, plays a bit of a safety shot. Tried a little bit messy in what they're doing there, but here we go. Rangitoto tidy it up. Skelton's not really willing to hit yet either, unsure of where that ball was going.
It's sort of a slow point here at the moment. They just need to give the ball a little bit of air sometimes so they can actually transition into
trying to get
proper
themselves
attack.
back in the system, basically.
Yeah.
And there's Skelton also trying to do something with the ball that's not quite right. You see a little bit uncaution here, and just until everything's in the system, and there we have it. Skelton changes that pace a little bit on the hit and is able to win the point.
Both teams are struggling to run an aggressive attack out of that.
Yes, and it's all about trying to get back into system, isn't it?
It is.
And once they're back in system, everybody's confident and understands what's going to happen next. And the big money, so to speak, is made in getting that out of place. And there we have a setter making a bit of a communication error. Forsyth was thinking there was another ball coming. He'd planned that, obviously, but the setter, unfortunately, under pressure, forgot what the play was. And there we have it. The point's gone again, and all of a sudden Rangitoto are back to 20 all. They've made a good answer to this little run of points. Nice set there. Forsyth still being asked to do the work in terms of the hitting.
Both teams have settled down a little bit here, and it's like they almost know what each other are doing. So they're sort of quite organised defensively, and they're sort of, to a degree, with the blocks, like you said before, Warren, they're sort of almost manipulating where the hitter has to put the ball.
Yep.
And then they've got that defence set up around those blocks. So they're playing the percentages.
See, that's a much better pass from the libero from Trident. What that allowed the setter to do was to get the speed on the ball required for the outside hitter to then do the work, forcing, of course, Rangitoto to then make the blocking error.
Yeah, there's not a lot between them, that's for sure.
Not a lot between them now.
The whole set's only been 2 or 3 points maximum difference, and obviously we're all tied up at 21 all.
Here we go, Skelton again making an intelligent play. I think at this stage of the game, Brendan, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of serves going through the middle of the court, and we come back to that conversation about risk versus reward. When teams serve through the middle of the court, that means they're a bit anxious. They're just going for safety more than they are for winning points. So I think at this stage, with the game being this close, somebody's going to have to step up and make the big point. And if anybody can do that, Skelton can.
Yeah, I think in the girls' game earlier we saw there was a lot more risk in their serving. They were a lot more aggressive.
And there we have it. Look at the motion that's come out of that point from Rangitoto. They know that was a big point because they simply had to break the shackles of what was happening there. Now Rangitoto have got themselves just that little buffer. We'll see if Trident can reply.
I'm surprised there wasn't a timeout called by the Trident coach there.
True thing. And there we have it.
That's probably why he didn't.
That's right. Tuai's just absolutely just demolished that ball and basically made a statement. Hang on a second, boys. We're not done here yet. And you got to love that. But this is it now. This is the time where the brave step forward. Forsyth on serve. You know, their key player. He's the guy who's going to, got the opportunity to step up. He's going to go for a big jump serve. Swings it nice and hard. Creates pressure already. Leeds on a swing now. Nice, good pick up by the ball, the libero, and here we go. Tuai swinging hard on that, gets the points simply through the sheer will of wanting to kill a ball. Well done by him.
Yeah, great pancake there from the libero for Trident, just keeping that ball alive, and look what they got out of it.
They did indeed, and again they've taken the lead, 23-22. Forsyth's serve was effective in the fact that it did put the pressure on the Rangitoto team to come up with a better answer, which they couldn't do. So Forsyth is definitely going to be going for this again. Let's see where this leads them.
You can just see the focus and even the sweat. These teams are both working very hard out on court.
Oh, and there we go, back out. So as we can see, the big man is the key component in the hitting stakes there. He's the one that they are going to trust to finish off the big points, and certainly did on that one. 23 all.
As a setter, you got to love that. I mean, just again flicking that back when you've got such a big player out there, you've got such a big margin for error because it is so tall.
Indeed.
And 2 hits called there on the setter.
Interesting call by the second referee. So, all of a sudden, Trident High School leading from the back right the way through, and now in the lead with a set point. Got to win by 2, so if they get 25-23, which they do not, it carries on until there's a 2-point advantage for one team or the other. And we go back to that concept of risk versus reward, and Salem was trying pretty hard there to win the point on the serve, which of course any athlete trying to get the advantage is always going to have a swing on that ball. So here's Leitz swinging on it and places a beautiful ball. Look at the emotion that's created when you take that.
There we go.
And that's the set done. Well done to Leitz. Big players step up on big occasions. In this case, he's a big player.
Literally. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. So that's the first set to Rangitoto. We're 1 point behind on our scoring system here, so apologies for that. But they've come away with that set, and I'm sure that's a big relief for them. Trident, of course, on the other side will be going, well, we shouldn't have got ourselves into a position that far behind, because once they were up and on the foils, so to speak, they were competitive with that Rangitoto team. In fact, I thought they were probably a little bit the better team. The Rangitoto hung in there beautifully and just carried on playing. Yeah, nice, solid game.
Rangi just won a few of those critical moments which you get, those little small moments that you want to win at this level, and they grabbed those, and just was enough to get over the line there. Like even things like just watching on that replay, just that little dump, I don't think I saw one from Trident in that set.
Yep.
You know, that's 1 point for them, one less point for the opposition. That's the difference between winning and losing a set. Could have just been right there.
And this is tight when you're in those kind of advantages. I was just thinking that Salem Tuais had a swing on a ball there towards the end of that set and didn't. He just decided to place it instead of having a crack at it. And it's one of those things. Again, the fortune favours the brave. You've got to have the willingness to almost take the consequences sometimes of a situation, because again, the big players and the big moments step up.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the guys' stuff because I've been heavily involved with the girls' sort of stuff, Warren. But have either of these teams been pushed very hard in pool play?
No, I would suggest that that's probably they haven't been. I know Trident lost the game against Riccarton High School, another mighty Canterbury team, but inevitably they had put on their bench because they'd already won their pool.
Right.
So they were saving energy for the final push in towards this final, which was strategically a very good move. My team, the Kashmir team, we had Rangitoto in the first round of games. Our pool was a relatively tidy pool and very honest pool in terms of competition, but Rangitoto were absolutely dominant throughout that, and then went on to just basically slowly but surely demolish the opposition on the way. They've probably used a little bit less energy than Trident to get there. They have a bit more of a rounded game, but I would strongly suggest that both of these teams have got fresh enough legs that this is still has got a good contest in front of us.
Yeah, I think they both come through the semi-final relatively quickly and unscathed, and that makes a big difference in a game like this as well. Like you say, just being fresh, because we mentioned it earlier, it's a long week for some of these athletes. They've got a big workload, and you want to be at your peak mentally and physically in these games, and both these teams actually look a lot fresher than what I thought they were going to.
Yes, but of course that comes down to some good strategy by the coaches. A friend of mine coaching here as well told me just yesterday, he said these tournaments are not won by the players number 1 to number 6 on a team. They're won by the players 4 to 8, And that means that those guys who are just on the bench, sometimes playing, they are the ones who give the big guys the rest to keep the legs fresh through a tournament, so that when they get to this game, they're ready for business.
Yeah, and I'd heard a couple of coaches on the boys' side talking about one team here that made the quarterfinals, but they sort of blew out early because of the effort they were putting in their pool play and pool games. It actually came back and bit them.
And came back and bit them, yeah.
It did.
Yep.
And I do think they would have been in the mix a little bit if it wasn't a tournament, if it was a one-off game. But if you don't have that depth, like you're saying, that sort of 6, or, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players, it's a heavy workload for some of these athletes otherwise.
Sure is, and we've got to remember that we've been here for 5 days, and for both of these teams, this is game 9. If you're thinking about just how many times these kids have got to jump in the course of a game alone, and you've got times that by 9 for a tournament, there's an awful lot of dynamism going on here, and to still have a little bit of freshness in the legs is an important aspect. They don't get a break. We think about some professional teams who only play that 1 game a week, and they can work their way through that. Here, it's 2 games a day every day, and so all of a sudden tried to hit themselves a nice ace, back to 3-all.
I mean, there really hasn't been much between these two teams in this game already. Like I said earlier, there's been 2 or 3 points maximum in the first set, and this set's shaping up to be very similar.
And this is a great serving run right now. Trident have found a bit of an angle there, going again into that deep sort of position 1. What happens with that, again, if you see where the setter is in terms of the court and the ball going into where that the player in white for Rangitoto is standing, it's very difficult for a setter to then get a ball coming over his head and into the setting position so that he can then do something effective with it. So it's very good serving by Trident to get themselves a little bit of an advantage in that aspect, and I would imagine they'll target that area again going forward. Right now, 4-all, Rangitoto up to serve.
Yeah, certainly it limits the setter's options, but one thing Rangi have in their advantage is the big lefty out that side.
Indeed. And there we have again just a little bit of imprecision on the part of Trident, and a relatively stable sort of in-system moment, but unfortunately unable to convert that through. Just a little bit of a poor set. Rangitoto again take another point lead. Great pass from the libero. That was a tough one to get. Did well. And of course, Leitz is given the job and delivers beautifully.
And that's a classic left-handed point. To swing it into the block. The block is very hard to angle it back into the court from that side. And he's not scared of it. And he knows if he hits it, it's going to go back out.
Great work. And again, Rangitoto are just going about their business. They're not doing too much to win points. The mistakes are really happening on the Trident side. And so great pressure from them, and again just a little bit of an advantage out at 7 points to 4. Trident, of course, not here to lose, so they'll be working hard to get some solutions. And a little mistake there from the Rangitoto player will help them along the way. Again, for me, it's there's a little bit of the alpha male going on. Players are looking to dominate their opposing number, to give them the opportunity to then go out and win bigger points. And this is, this is just a ding-dong between 2 very, very strong, competent teams. Leeds getting picked up nicely on defence here. Great set by the setter. Tuai just playing it safe again. Skelton the same, just playing it safe, trying to do something a bit more with the ball than the usual, but having no effect. And trying again now, he'll probably hit that a bit harder, but still no effect. And again, there we have it. Campbell Forsyth. Beautiful cross-court spike.
I'd like to see them be a little bit more aggressive on some of those balls, Warren. I'm just a bit worried your beach skills have stamped over some of those players.
Yeah, you could be right there. We are a group that focuses on excellence and finesse.
A player as his coach.
Here we go. Now, nice shot by Leeds, but very well picked up by Trident, who are just saving a point now. And again, we've got Rangitoto back in system. Leeds having a crack, not being able to kill a point. Pressure's still on. Trident still have an opportunity here, but unfortunately, Tuai is unable to convert based on a poor ball. And again,
not really ready for that.
No, here we are, a little bit of stand volley. And there we have it. A faster ball to the outside, a faster arm by Tuai onto that, and the blocker's not quite prepared. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the game gets a little bit static and not quite as nice. We sometimes call it ape tennis, but once these guys get the flow on, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it is. I would like to see at times. I think they could be a bit more aggressive on some of these plays. There we go.
Great swing by Forsyth, looking to swing the point early. Skelton still not doing enough for the point. Yeah, there we go. A variation attack through the backcourt. And the referee's just blowing a whistle here, not quite sure what that's about.
Might be a backcourt player coming on the attack line. No,
it certainly was. And I'd like to just say, my hands off to the Whakatane coach. He's walking around in bare feet. Another proponent of I suppose the worth of beach volleyball.
I tell you what, Warren, you know you're getting, it's the last game of the tournament when you're sitting up here in the commentary box and I can smell pizza. All these kids here, they've sent their coaches or managers to get pizza before the social because it's an easy meal. We're all sick of cooking and feeding these kids. It's pizza on the last night, and there's a fair bit of Pizza Hut and Domino's floating around, and I can certainly smell it.
Sure is. True athletes.
Yeah.
Brendan, true athletes.
There's no pizza up here. I've got water.
I have to admit, I didn't bring our team nutritionist with us this year. So on that front, I suppose I've let my boys down.
No, that's all right.
Anyway, look at what we have here. Trident High School. They've taken what was, again, a little bit of a flurry from 7-4 down. They've now taken a 9-7 lead. And that tells us that Trident aren't finished with this game. And that if they continue on, keep pushing through, then the likelihood is that they're still going to win points. I think Salem Tuai is just looking a little bit tired in the legs. Maybe he's just deciding that energy conservation at this stage is a little bit more important before getting in towards the back end of a set. And if they can keep on doing this and keep with Rangitoto, then you'll probably see the guys, all of them physically starting to, so to speak, tighten the screws, get that little bit more precise, a little bit harder, a little bit heavier on everything in order to win some points. Great serve pressure on Leitz.
I find it interesting too, like Johan called quite a timeout quite early in the set there, and that's not actually that common in our pool games and things like that. You'll sort of let the guys play and figure it out a little bit, so it shows in these bigger games the coaches just don't want a team to get away early in a set, and they're prepared to take that timeout really early, and that just shows some really good coaching there as well.
Totally agree. And what was nice to see there, Leitz made a mistake on that first ball after the timeout on the serve, and then the second one he passed it beautifully on a very good serve, and then just decided, well, I'm going to make the kill here. And that's the sort of thing that quality players do. They're given the challenge by someone else, and they're there to step up and then just say, hang on a second, no, you got to take me into consideration. What a great attack through the middle there. Again, what we're seeing is Trident starting to vary their attack a little bit. Tuai is obviously getting a bit more of a rest. He's not hitting as much because the middle's doing more work, and it's paying dividends. And
I think that's an area Trident could maybe target a little bit more. I know he has got a big jump in there, the young fella in the middle, but I do think, you can't beat size when you're matching up, at the front there, height for height. A good big man's always going to beat a good small man.
Yeah, any day of the week, particularly with that higher arm speed. But I tell you what, this young man from Rangitoto, he might be short in stature, but boy oh boy, can he play some game.
Oh, I've seen him dominate bigger guys in the middle, and you don't see or say that very often.
No. And again, we've seen a nice, effective first wave attack from Trident. They've clearly found a bit of a formula at this stage of the game. I'm sure they're going to keep using that until something changes for the Rangitoto team. But, right now, Salem Tuai is up for a serve and goes for the rip, but unfortunately doesn't make it. And no harm lost there.
No.
It's worth a swing at this time of the game because it is risk versus reward, and at this stage you can certainly look for a bit more risk. And Leitz up to serve. Unfortunately, the serve's failed him on this occasion.
Yeah, I think the throw, he just got in front of the ball a little bit there. I think the throw might have been not quite the height he'd normally throw there.
Correct, yes. I think there's probably a little bit too much wind too much breeze in the stadium.
Yeah, definitely.
To move the ball.
There's a beach coach for
There's
you
a
right
beach coach
there.
for you right there.
And I also find, Warren, this year VNZ have moved to the Mikasa volleyball, which is quite different to what we've had for as long as I can remember. And very different balls to serve with, especially. And even serve receive, very different balls. I like them a lot. I think players have got to take them on their hands a lot more because they do die on serve receive, but I would rather a player take them on the hands more than the arms, to be fair, which you wouldn't get in beach.
And so here we go, Rangitoto, 2 quick points. They've just sort of getting close to equalising again after Trident will have had their dominant phase. Trident now having a little bit of a mental break. Things not quite going as well as they should. And Rangitoto are seeing an opportunity to put some pressure on, but unfortunately don't take the opportunity. Coming back to that ball, Brendan, it is definitely a different beast. Probably 30 years ago now, there was a ball called Tachikara, which is a Japanese branded ball, and you could make that thing move in the air like nobody's business. And this is the first ball since then that's really had the potential to move in the air as much. And that makes for a bit more exciting volleyball because it's not as predictable. And that, I think, is a good thing for the game as well. This is a good evolution at this stage.
I think so.
So Skelton there, starting to put a bit more pressure on with his game. Great little exhibition of a nice high-arm, deep roll shot as a hitter. He's not looking to power through the ball necessarily, just making sure that he's using the court space for what it is. Anyway, Rangitoto back on serve. They're just 1 point behind after what had been a little bit of a run by Trident. Now just setting themselves up, and here we go, another middle ball, trying to continue to capitalise on that, but Rangitoto using some footwork. That's what we're after.
There you go. I'm a footballer from way back, and that's something close to my heart.
There we are. Yep, and for anybody out there who hasn't seen volleyball before, you can touch the ball, so to speak, with any body part and continue to keep the play alive. It's called volleyball for a reason. If you can make it volley, you keep on playing. Really nice example of that.
And I think, again, both teams are struggling to have dominance over the other team, which is a great thing from a spectator's point of view, and the sets being close again, so they're really battling for their points, and it's kind of what we want to see. Oh, there we go again, that nice dump. That's very, very quick.
And Forsyth punishing that Rangitoto block. And that all came on the back of a very nice option from the Rangitoto setter, but read well in the backcourt by Trident. Good dynamic play. And then Forsyth just made the see you later, son.
It's a big point here.
And yet again, the same server who last time was hitting that back corner with a long, deep float serve creates more problems. And all of a sudden, Trident are out to a 4-point lead.
I think it's the biggest lead of the game. We haven't seen a lead this big.
And so how quickly things can change. Really nice, different change up in the setup. Skelton unable to do anything with that. Poor pass, and here we go to Ice having the options, not taking the option to swing hard. Skelton's been given another try at it.
Ooh.
And unfortunately, after a very good defense from the Trident players, a little bit of confusion, unfortunately stopped that point in its tracks. I think if Trident had won that point, we could have seen Rangitoto in a bit of trouble. But we're still close enough, and still through the middle part of the set. There's a lot of work left to do. And there we have it, a great serve from the Rangitoto setter. It's not the setter. Just one of the men doing his business.
We don't have the team list, unfortunately, for Rangitoto with their name. So
in fact, he is the setter. How's that? Yeah. Oh, an unfortunate miss by the Trident hitter. Again, using that option through the middle, which has been effective and should have been in that case. It's just a hitting error. You can have those. But Rangitoto closing it back up again. 17-16 still for Trident. Another strong serve. Again, targeting that libero. Forsyth making the ball dead. Great work by him.
It's good to see the players. Actually, the last 5-6 points have been a lot more aggressive, and I actually do like that as well. They're actually going out there trying to win the points.
Yep.
And I think they, especially Trident, they've been really aggressive their last 3 or 4 attacks.
Yeah, unfortunately that's a bit unhelpful. Just at the time when they could have been putting a little bit more pressure on Rangitoto, they kind of let that one slip. And but again, no risk, no reward.
Yeah, I think both coaches might be a little bit disappointed. There have been quite a few service errors actually in this set. And again, I think, like you said, Warren, it's that risk reward. They're trying to put some pressure on, and it's causing a few of those service errors.
That's great work, isn't it? Look at that. Rangitoto had a great swing on that first one, well defended. But then Leeds was unable to convert based on the fact that there are two guys on that front row that have got serious hops. And so they were able to make an adjustment in the air to cover Leeds, and were successful. And again, that's, you know, they're good points. They're psychologically big points to play when you stop the big guy. Then that can have an effect on the whole team. Oh, Trident back again, 2 points. Yeah, it's a lovely roller coaster game, this one.
It is a dogfight. It's definitely back and forward. And here we go again.
Forsyth, unfortunately, taking what I would consider a risk option, trying to serve that down the line. Again, they've got a point up on these on Rangitoto, so it was worth the risk. And certainly not serving through the middle of the court shows his intent to win a point instead of just let a point happen. Another great,
and hopefully he'll be rewarded for that, you know, later on in the game if he keeps that mindset.
Absolutely.
As a coach, I would rather see that, because if you play it safe at this level, you're going to get burned.
That's correct. Yep, it will only come back with twice as much interest. On that occasion there, it was great to see Skelton actually playing a really smart shot into an area of the court not traditionally known for seeing volleyball's landings. So he did a great job of creating that. Forsyth again having another hit. Skelton again up to the task, and unfortunately, and there was carried on. That was not called by the referees. Interesting decision there. Yep. I presume that they're thinking that it was only the ball that touched the net, not the setter.
I'd like to see a replay of that.
I think the smiles on the Rangitoto team is a little bit telling of what happened in that moment. But that's also the first time we're seeing Rangitoto for a wee while back in front. And again, at the business end of the set, Rangitoto seem to be tidying up a little bit enough, tightening up the game.
But again, I'm not going to question the referee's call, because we've all been up there and done it. It's a pig of a job to do at times.
It's definitely a thankless task,
and
absolutely.
These refs who have been here all week doing a fantastic job, you know, giving up their time, stand up on the stand or down on the second referee. And, you know, they're just as, well, I don't want to say worn out, but mentally they've had as much pressure on as the players.
Absolutely. Here's a big serve by Tuai, just to see to ramp things up a little bit. The set is out of system now. Yeah, Tuai's been asked again to hit the ball. Still out of system, but Rangitoto in control there, and a great block by Trident. That's the way to shut down any kind of options that the attackers have ahead of them. Very well composed effort to again bounce back, take the lead. Again, no risk, no reward on that serve, and it was certainly a good serve that put him in that position, and I would well imagine he's going to have another crack at this.
Yeah, they're just maintaining that small lead.
Yeah, beautiful serve, beautiful pass under big pressure, and Leeds delivers. Isn't that great when you see that that server, he was absolutely up for that, cracked a beauty. But so was his opposite number, getting the ball back to the setter. Leeds showing his class, just delivering on the
You can't draw that up any better. That's just perfect. That's what you train for, just execution.
Oh, beautiful. Big net touch there by Rangitoto, put under pressure by some good play through the middle. Again, what we're seeing is the Whakatane team from Trident High School always looking to add just a little bit of a new dimension into their attack, which keeps those Rangitoto very highly structured team a little bit on edge about to what's happening next.
Yeah, a little bit of banter through the net there, I noticed. Number 4 of Trident.
Yeah, they're starting to get a little bit wound up, the boys. I kind of like that myself.
Yeah,
it's a good part of the game. Thankfully, there's a net between them, so nobody's going to tackle too hard. And we also saw both coaches standing up, issuing some instructions. So we're now at the business end of this set. Trident taking advantage, swing on a beautiful ball. A little bit of feeling there. And Trident just letting Rangitoto know that things are not over. And again, Trident just pulling ahead. 23-21.
Yeah, Yeah, I think if Trident can side out here, they'll definitely take the set, but I think Rangi, again, just defensively, they've just got to keep working hard, get that block up there, try and just manipulate where that ball goes, and they've got the big fella in the backcourt, Rangi too, which is a little bit less effective for them.
Yep. And I think that, we always like to see what happens at the business end. I mean, after all of those years of the Breakers wins, the 2-point wins and big games to win championships, it's when the big players step up. This is when we're going to see the best quality of the better players. And I'm looking forward to particularly seeing how Skelton and Leeds now deal with this situation that they're faced with, and of course how the Trident boys are going to keep that pressure on. There we go, no pressure. That there is it's a coach card, that one. Coach calls a timeout, cools the server down, server makes an error. That's a coach's point right there, isn't it, Brendan?
It is. It's just unbelievable how often it happens. There's got to be some science behind that, because it happens way too often for what it really should. And on both sides, you win and lose. There we go. Side out, just nice and clean, was aggressive, went up there. And again, just taking responsibility. Boys, I'll get this point for us.
Nice, and of course again, Rangitoto was targeting the libero because the libero hasn't passed so well, but I think he's actually starting to find his game, and so it's probably not the best option. Another serve through the middle. Skelton being asked to put a ball away, doesn't quite succeed, gives Forsyth a chance at the swing, and unfortunately Forsyth has realised his mistake. He's tapped himself on the chest to say, hey, that's my bad, sorry about that. But Trident High School still have that, we're back to even Stevens, and these next 2 points particularly are going to be compelling. Maybe it goes on a little bit longer than that, and we'll see from this.
I think Trident, though, they found the right player they wanted to be swinging at that, especially out on the opposite there.
And that's out of there. Trident take the second set on an error from Rangitoto. Again, we're a little bit behind on the score here on our screen. Trident obviously now comfortably 1-1. Everything's back to square one again. We start this battle right from the word go.
But again, set was as close as it could be, same as the first set, but just the other, the reverse with Rangi winning the first. I think the same scoreline, I think too.
Indeed. So slowly but surely, we've had quite a building crowd. The young ones are enjoying what we call a pretty big game. I see that the Burnside crew, they are still here in their uniforms, having celebrated a little bit as a group for their win, as this senior boys final continues to kick off. And I think that we've only got things to look forward to in this game. There's going to be a higher quality approach to things now, because now urgency starts to arrive on the scene a lot more.
Yeah, and I think a few people leaving now. Unfortunately, the social starts at 7:30, and a lot of teams will be going to get there, whatever the theme. I know my Nayland College girls have all were around at my home last weekend, longer than I wanted them there, making Uno cards. They're going as Uno cards. It looks pretty good, and a lot of the kids that take the social as seriously as their volleyball.
Absolutely,
I think.
Yeah, I think it's been the major talking point for most of the week. 1,700 kids, 2,200 kids, and the finals have got a few of those, not a lot of them, and so a lot of people here are playing the volleyball firstly to compete, obviously, and to achieve at the best level they can. And once that's all over, it's a bit of party time, and so be it. That's what's the great thing about our sport, is everybody gets a chance to play hard, then party hard, and we'll look forward to a bit of a session tonight with the young ones, enjoying some good music, some good times. And just coming back to that sort of theme again, one of the things I love about this sport is that people from Auckland are going to be shaking hands with people from Christchurch, from Dunedin, from Nelson, from wherever, because at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. And it's really fun to be battling with a team and then spending time with them afterwards, just talking and getting to know each other. And one of our opponents this week, Brendan, for the Mighty Kashmir team, was a team from Aorere College with Vai Palale, which is one of the legends of South Auckland volleyball and the coaching community.
He is.
When my boys saw the Aorere boys turn up, they were just like, oh my Lord, what are the Warriors doing this week? Have they lost all of their players for training? Because they were just massive.
They were.
Massive boys. And, we played against them, had a great game, and afterwards we already started the chat with them and getting to know these guys, and that's what I call camaraderie amongst competitors. And tonight that theme will continue.
Well, that's what I love about the volleyball culture, and it is a culture. It's not what's also on the court; it's also what's off the court, and it is a big deal. That's why the kids love the sport. It's why they play the sport as well. So it's great to hear stories like that, and long may it continue.
Yes, indeed. And right now what we've got is Trident have just come out a little bit hotter than Rangitoto. The first couple of points have gone their way. Both been relatively positive points, although Leeds got himself caught up in the net. Unfortunately, there was a service error, which means they didn't quite take as much of an advantage as they possibly could. And we've got Skelton up on the line. As we know, his variable serve can cause passing team quite a number of problems, so we'll just see what he comes up with and see if he can offer a reply. Yeah, nice light serve, straight onto the libero. The libero's passed that very, very well. Forsyth lining up against Leeds. Leeds has a great swing at the ball. Ball's back from Trident, and the confusion. After all of that work, that's disappointing. No one's quite sure who should take the ball and save that for the point. That's a little bit demoralising for the Whakatane boys, and I'm sure the Rangi boys just stood there and just watched it all unfold. Didn't have to worry too much on that one.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. These things happen sometimes. They're not professional athletes, and at the end of the day, they're still young teenage boys.
Indeed. And here we go, another mistake by Trident. This has rattled them a little bit. A nice serve by Skelton, again, variable as it was. We've seen the change-up just disrupt.
I know this is a little bit off topic, Warren, but VNZ have got an NVL coming up, or a National Volleyball League, which is going to be the first time ever. And I just wondered if any of these boys you think have put their name down to try and get into one of the franchises for that?
I would strongly suggest there will be. I'm not so sure about too many of the Trident boys. They tend to stay at home a little bit, and it's a long way for them from Whakatane to go and travel to be in a squad that potentially might be an Auckland-based squad. It's a big effort in the grand scheme of things. So, but I'm sure that there'll be a number of these, a number of the Auckland boys will certainly try, Leeds in particular. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Forsyth, just watching that point there, Forsyth swings a fantastic hit and is now being called that the antenna was touched. The referee's just having a bit of a hooey with the line judges just to be sure that actually did touch the antenna from Forsyth's hit before it went into the opposition court, and they've confirmed that was the case. So Rangitoto got a little bit off lightly there, and slowly but surely take a 4-3 lead in this third set. Another nice pass by the libero. Forsyth given the ball, and ball is down.
It's definitely down there, but it certainly was in the right spot. But again, very aggressive swing. Again, I think with both these teams, there's not really a lot separating them at all. I mean, I know there's a long way to go, but you wouldn't say, one team's more dominant than the other. One will get a little 2-3 point run, and then the other team will just come straight back with the same 2-3 point run. Yeah,
certainly agreed. They are just playing at a very, very high level. And of course, again, he was a perfect example of risk versus reward serve. He tried too hard to make something good of that, and unfortunately didn't succeed in the effort. But he was put on there for a reason, and this time it didn't quite work out. This gives Rangitoto the serve. Leeds up on the jump serve. Again, nice passing from the libero. Gives Campbell the option to do something with the ball. And Skelton now being asked to do something even better with the ball. And Skelton is an interesting player. He's not using that big frame of his in a powerful way. Just very smart about how he's playing the game. It's really quite nice to watch. Anyway, Leeds is going up for a second shot at his serve. He'll, of course, come at that hard. Yeah, it's a nice drive serve. Easy pass by the Trident player, and Campbell Forsyth swinging off the top of the block. Nice and high and nice and hard.
Yeah, they've both. I mean, both teams got very good control on what they're actually doing. Even if they aren't power and there is finesse there, they know exactly what they're trying to do, and their execution is very high with it as well. Which again, it shows just a nice high volleyball IQ as well. They're just not one-dimensional players.
Beautiful one arm dig there by Trident, and unfortunately couldn't quite control it at the net after all of that work. There we go. Just got away with it, the Rangitoto boys, but they'll take it. Rangitoto back on serve, just holding a 2-point slender lead at this early stage of the third set. Nice set by the setter, again going through the middle, creating that option and finding some payback from that.
It's been a regular points winner for Trident, that run through the middle with number 11 there. Very, very explosive arm action.
But coming back to that discussion about the NVL, really exciting new opportunity for our top athletes to get amongst it with each other again. We're always looking for ways of getting them interested in playing and working them hard in competitive situations, and the NVL is going to be a four-team system where each of the teams has a set number of players that they can guarantee from their areas, and then the rest of them will go into a draft, and they'll get obviously put into squads for these weekend events, which is a really nice thing to see. And Skelton taking a very, very big serve from Tuai, perfectly placed on the setter. The setter gets it back out to him and he deals to it. That's actually quality volleyball, any way you look at it.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think too, Warren, with that NVL, not just the players, also the opportunity for the coaches throughout New Zealand to work with, some of our top athletes and on home soil as well. And I just have a funny feeling. I know I've put my name in the hat from a coaching point of view. I'm not really too fussed whether I do or do not get in, but I think you've got to be in to win sort of thing. But to see our top athletes on New Zealand soil and that environment competing against each other, and these games will be televised as well.
Right.
And it's a new initiative and a great initiative. We've had nothing like it before, and hopefully over time it will lead to a full-on national league with like some of the other sports have.
Yeah, certainly it would be nice to see it go in that direction. I think that as a sport, we talk about, I suppose, the growth potential of volleyball and the visibility. As the number 3, the third largest participant sport in the world, volleyball in New Zealand, of course, doesn't have that kind of larger sort of following as we see overseas. But it's certainly a sport that's extremely dynamic and worth watching. There's still a continued sense that one of the highlights of the Olympic calendar is the women's and men's final for volleyball. And I said when we talk about what this is overseas, I mean this year, just as an example, the top earning player this year will earn 1.9 million euros in a sport that's probably for New Zealanders, when you're talking that you're getting pay packets 4 times larger than an All Black.
Yeah.
Then we are talking some pretty serious coin.
Well, our participation numbers are massive now too. They've surpassed a lot of other sports, and I know Sport New Zealand figures, and I know VNZ put stuff out in their recent newsletter about where it sits. I just can't remember if it's third or fourth in New Zealand.
Yeah, we're now the 4th largest high school or secondary school sport, behind obviously the big 3, which is volleyball, and volleyball. But
beach volleyball might be
that's
one
right.
of them.
It might be one of the bigger ones. But look, we've always batted again a little bit above our weight, because as a participant sport, we have events like this where there's huge crowds, like I said, massive diversity. There's a net in between, so you're not going to have some 120 kilo kid running over the little white boy in your sport. It's the net's a great equaliser, and so it continues to attract players. And in fact, I help out with a young team in Christchurch, young team of girls, and 2 of them are very very good netball players who have actually decided to pack the game in, because the non-contact sport that is netball, as we now see on TV, is very much a contact sport, and they just don't want that. And the net, so to speak, offers them the opportunity to play competitive sport without getting knocked around. And for some players, of course, for some netball players, they'll go, well, blah. But actually, there's a lot of people out there who don't want contact in their sport, who want to compete without that aggressive element. And so that's what volleyball is offering as a sport for players.
Yeah, I totally agree, Warren. I'm just back to the game here, again, another tight set. There's just nothing between either sides here. You just can't really split them. Yeah. They go on these little runs, but they are little runs. There's no one been able to bust a game open here yet, which I guess is a credit to both teams.
Yeah, indeed. It just shows the level that they're playing at. And just as we saw there with that young fella who just missed his serve, that's the second time he's gone in with the sole task of putting some serve pressure on, and unfortunately has not succeeded in doing so, which brings Nico Leitz back to the serving line, that big left-hander, the big lefty. See what he can bring. Oh, unfortunately he's brought nothing but pain and anguish.
I don't know, I'm certainly getting sick of smelling pizza, that's for sure. Yeah, for me, I would like to see a little bit higher percentage on the serving. I know there is that risk-reward element, but some of those serves, there's not a great deal of risk in some of them. And then we've got a carried ball, just left in his hand a little bit too long.
Yep.
I think he was just trying to be a little bit too clever with placement with that, just to try and see what movement Rangitoto were going to do defensively and put it into a hole, but he just left it in his hands a little bit too long.
Yep, no, agreed. And it's all about just taking the energy out of the ball so that the opposition team have to do more with it. In that case, it did not succeed. And Rangitoto are back on serve again. Very nice pass, easy ball, and the middle attack hasn't quite worked, but you can see where that was going. A little fake jump set, played out to Forsyth, hasn't been successful. The middle's been played by Rangitoto, and unfortunately they've made an error. These are the kind of risk and again, we go back to risk versus reward thing. Sometimes you just got to take them. And I tell you what, as we saw in that second set, now's the time to do those kind of things because the risk versus reward is high. A little bit later on, they'll tighten up again. They'll be a little bit more precise, try to make less errors and more precision in their attacking options. Right now, there's still the opportunity to make some big gains.
Yeah, I'd like to see both teams actually, or one of the teams actually, to try and take this set by the scruff of the neck.
Correct.
There's a little bit of hesitancy in some of the things they're actually doing at times. The big players for each team are definitely stepping up, but I do think, like we were talking before, some of those players in that sort of 4, 5 and 6 of the team will be the difference makers in the winning or losing of this game, I think. Completely
agree. Yep. All we see at the end of that is the big guy who gets the ball away. It's all of the work that's done in behind that to make the big guy look good. Here we are, Skelton swinging. Great defense from the libero. Nobody's sure who's doing what there from Trident. It's not helpful. Skelton again, not getting the ball away. Trident are scrappy here, but they are keeping the ball alive. Great option. Leitz is about to kill. No, can't get the ball down. Trident stay alive, keeping it nice and simple. Out to Skelton. Skelton makes the ball dead.
Well, I love the control there from Rangi, though. They just kept being the aggressor and just controlled that point. And Trident were always on the back foot. Credit to them for hanging in there that long, but also credit for Rangitoto for just keep pressing until they got the big opening.
Till they got the big opening, quite right. And we saw from the reaction of those Trident boys, a couple on their knees after that rally. And what doesn't sometimes seem very dynamic, they are working very, very hard, and they are a little bit gassed. And so that's why the coach has called the timeout. He's wanting to see them just recover a little bit, refocus, start the process again. And of course, up till now, the coach, so to speak, has been proven right. They know that they can come back. So it's better to get the energy back, get a little bit more oxygen in the brain, a little bit more oxygen in the legs, and away they go again.
Yeah, it's interesting, what Warren's saying there. They do get gassed because as a spectator, you tend to watch the ball, not the players. And if you actually, focus on one or two of the players, especially the libero, they don't stop. They're constantly moving, but you're not really watching that. You're watching the ball. So, and it's all explosive movement quite often as well.
Yes, it's what's known as a very high anaerobic load in this kind of sport. Excuse me. They do a lot of hard work in and around the edges to make sure that control is there. And again, you talk about those foot soldiers. who aren't the big boys, who tend to spend more time standing upright and relaxed because their job is to then kill the ball. The foot soldiers are doing a heck of a lot of work.
There we go, you know, side out straight away after a timeout from Trident. Couldn't ask for anything more than that. I imagine they probably drew up a play. This is what we want to do. This is our first option, if not second option, but that looked like first option to me, and they got the kill.
Sure did, yep. Nice and simple. And back to basics. There you go, nice big serve, already created the pressure. Trident, again, putting themselves in a good spot there, and unfortunately, there's our little man getting the big block. And again, that's soul-crushing for Trident. They had a good option, they created the pressure with a big serve. Unfortunately, every now and then, even the big hitters get blocked.
Oh, he looked happy about that.
He looked happy about that, all right.
And again, you know, those are big momentum swings, that block, you know. It's something they're just not expecting, and it just comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden sort of gives a little bit of a lift, and the other team thinks, oh, I've got to try something else now. Gets in their head. There you go.
What's known as a throw. That means that the middle player was, instead of attacking and slapping the ball, or a single hard contact of the ball, decided to try and move the ball instead, and by doing that, it's no longer volleyball, it's throw ball, and unfortunately throw ball is not the sport that we play. So Rangitoto have pulled out to an 18-15 lead, but it's I think it will only be described as tenuous. Again, these teams are staying very, very close to each other in terms of level. Said a little telling thing before was watching those Trident guys get a little bit gassed. So clearly there's some work to do, but who knows? This is a big game, it's a big moment, everybody's up for it. Great pass, Rangitoto in a good strong position for the attack. Can't quite dictate that though. Tuai's been asked to play a nice easy ball, keep the rally going. Skelton's on for the option, can't kill on a poor set from the setter. And there's a conversion. And what do we have there? We have a call that the ball was out and there was no touch on the block. Yep. Yeah, the line judges are confirming. It wasn't. Again, Skelton with that range of serve options has come to the line, so we'll see if they can help to extend that lead from the 19-15 further out at all.
Rangi just sort of holding this at the moment, which they'll be happy with this as long as they can sort of match point for point. They'll take that.
Yep, absolutely. And Forsyth has now come to the front court, and the very first thing he does is convert a side out, and so this will be an interesting phase of play, having him back in the front court, just how much work he's going to have to do to bring this Trident team back onto par. Unfortunately, not helped by a poor serve. But again, risk versus reward. As you can see, those serves are not going through the middle of the court. They are trying to win an advantage on that serve quite early. I personally like that. I think the serve is underrated for its attacking potential. And so to see that kind of effort, it's great. And Forsyth just delivers, doesn't he, on that? Oh,
yeah. I mean, but I agree, Warren, too, with that serve. It is underrated. I mean, and I think Trident are close in this set where they've got to risk to get back into it now, because Rangitoto have been siding out quite well the last 4 or 5 points.
Yes, agreed. At this stage, I would say, to use the analogy, Rangitoto are up on the foils a little bit here. They are just playing a smooth, calm game, and Trident are trying hard, but of course trying hard is also resulting in them making probably unforced errors that they wouldn't normally make, which obviously compounds the pressure again. Leitz taking off on the serve, and that serve has just gone long.
Yeah, the linesman was thinking about it.
He was thinking about it, yep. Yes, we've got the mighty Western Heights team from Rotorua, certainly from the back in the early to mid-80s, the dynasty of Phil George era at Western Heights, 6-time champions, have continued that legacy, and unfortunately weren't able to make the final today with unfortunately a relatively simple loss to not make that semi. Yep. But in doing that, they did win the bronze medal against Manurewa College this afternoon, which gave them the honour of officiating in this game tonight.
Yeah, you know, it's closed up again here. You know, you think you've got a little bit of control of the set, and then all of a sudden, 2 points later, you're under pressure, which is great to see. I mean, just no one's backing down. Everyone's just pushing. And again, I reiterate, these lads have had a long week of volleyball, and to still be in this state of mind and pushing themselves for every single point, and every point is precious. And these guys recognise that. I tell this to my team sometimes on the first point of the game. That's a precious point.
Yes.
And you get to this stage, every point is precious. And they're playing with that mentality, and it's actually really good to see. It's only going to make them better athletes, and it's going to make the teams competing against them to get to this level as well, which is only going to make the sport better for our country when we hit at a high performance level.
Yes, I totally agree. And there we have it. Unfortunately, Tuais he's not having the best of games at the moment, even under those kind of pressure situations. He's not really as effective as I was kind of hoping that he might be in this game. I thought he would probably end up being quite a dominant figure. But we're still early on. Rangitoto are just staying in there, and again, they're just chipping away, aren't they? They're just taking little bites of the apple.
Yeah, that might get him going. Something like that could just be enough to spark.
Forsyth just playing for safety. Skelton having to do a little bit more, and again using some pretty smart play to again, if nothing else, what he does is he's not after the kill there. He knows that the pressure situation needs to go back on Trident, so he's putting the ball into places that is going to make it hard for Trident to get back into system. And the fact that he won the point on it is a little bit of an added bonus, but oh gee, I like how smart that guy plays.
Yeah, it's almost like he's playing a game of chess, isn't it? He's just a move or two ahead.
Yep.
And if it comes off, it does, but if it doesn't, they're still in control of the situation.
And there we are, Tuais certainly not having a run of it. Again, it's mainly because of the inconsistency of the setter in delivering the ball to him, but I'm just not seeing that big dynamic run up and hit. I think his legs are probably suffering a little bit more than most. But again, these things can be quite brutal in the end. Rangitoto now on set point at 24-19. They've just run away with us in the end.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I think there's too many points here at this stage of the set.
Yeah, it is, and that's where Trident have now got to somehow find a way of getting a little bit more precision back into their game, and a little bit more conviction towards killing the ball. Is basically what it comes down to. We need the big players to step up for Trident to keep on through. At the moment, they're just relying a little bit too much on Campbell to get them through. Here we have a nice opportunity for a big serve. Great placement of the serve, but Skelton's equal to the task.
Nice.
And the setter is deciding he can go through the middle. He's got enough points in the bank to try a bit of a different option. But I can almost guarantee you that this next set is going either to Skelton or to Leeds, one of the two. Right now, though, and Johan Timmer taking the time out just to settle them down again, get them ready for that, for the end spurt here. Very smart, timely timeout. I would have, in that situation, done a very similar thing, because what you're after is if you can keep the flow going, keep it as long as you can, but as soon as the flow stops, then you take your time out. And so that was a good decision by Johan at the right time. Even though they've got a 3-point lead, you don't get complacent and go, oh, well, we'll just see how the next one goes. You actually you stop it there, and then you work on getting back fresh. Yeah, and ready for that last side out.
Again, it's like we mentioned earlier on the set, that when a very early timeout was taken, another smart one. At this level, you just don't give the opposition any chance to get back into it. You take that now and just try and deal with the situation straight away.
There we are. See Skelton getting the ball. That was pretty obvious, and a great dig from the libero. Probably another one, yes, and bang. Skelton cleans that up nicely. Yep, big players step up at big moments.
A good way to win the set as well, and smart play from Skelton. I mean, he'd been noodling a few down the line or pushing a few here or there. Those last two, he just said, yep, I'm just going to kill this. I've had enough.
Yes, and that's it, isn't it? Like we talked about a little bit earlier in the broadcast there, that as the set tightens up and more work is required, you'll see the little bit more the tightening of the screws, the precision gets better, the aggression, the ability and willing to use that dynamic play, because at the end of the set is where that's the business end.
It is.
Yeah, you don't win. You don't win too much if you're running your sprints at the start of the marathon.
I just like the fact they went out and won the point. You know, just it's what you want to see as a coach as well, and it becomes clean doing it that way as well. You're just taking the opportunity as soon as it's presented itself, and now they've just got to go and start all over again.
Yeah.
You know, 2-1 to Rangitoto over Trident, but I sure as heck know Trident are just going to come back even stronger this set.
Yeah, it's do or die now. Trident know that. They've got to work. They've got to try and save their own lives, so to speak. You know, it's and desperation can do wonderful things. It can also be a bit of an inhibitor. But you know, teams don't get to this final after the journey that they've undertaken throughout the whole season to get here. The amount of pressure that they've already been under, the tournaments that they've had to play, and now, of course, this tournament as well. That they are a quality team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can bring in the fourth set. Bring on a 5-set game, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm just watching some of those replays on the left-hand side of the net. There's a couple of Canterbury volleyball legends there, sitting there on the bottom floor of the stands. Mary Edmondson and Chris Nielsen.
Nice.
Crikey Dick, they've been around for a long, long time. And to think that Mary's still putting her time and effort in at New Zealand level is just phenomenal. I probably don't think there's a female that's done more, is there?
I would hazard to guess there wouldn't be. The only person that would be, in my opinion, pretty close to that kind of legend status, if we think about the game of today, and that's oh gee, I'm just trying to remember her name now. I hate that.
Well, I can't help you because
Joe Waller.
Sure. Oh, okay.
Joe Waller from Auckland. Same person. An incredible contributor for years and years and years, and continues to offer what she can to the sport, and particularly to the young ones coming forward. But these are our taonga for our sport. Yeah. They are precious to us in ways very few know, except for their own players and oftentimes the administrators themselves, who realise their worth in keeping our game moving forward. And you know, Mary Edmondson, she's got 3 wonderful daughters who are still somehow involved. I know the oldest is a professional basketball player, but was a very good player in her own right. And the other 2 sisters, they are both playing for the Shirley Women's Club still. So she's still got some skin in the game. Chris Nielsen.
Fran's up here coaching Papanui too.
Fran's up here coaching, that's correct, yes she is. And Chris Nielsen's got 2 boys that have come through the Riccarton High School system, and now one of them in Hamilton, working there, coaching as well as playing.
Yep, he's here. Jeremy's here coaching.
And the youngest one, Sam, one of our, in my opinion, one of our premier athletes in New Zealand, full stop. And it's so nice to see these guys. It's just, there's a bit of a family thing going on.
It is, it's great.
We're very, very lucky to have people like them in our sport, there's no doubt.
So Trident just got a small lead here, but it's early on in the set. I mean, really 3-2, nothing in it, and that's sort of with serve at the moment, which you'd sort of expect this early.
And there we go, Leeds just making sure that everybody remembers his name. That's a nice response there, just to make sure that the Trident team aren't going to get a little bit ahead on that.
I'm sure he's well known around school, Warren. I mean, when you're 6'9", you'd probably stand out in a crowd, even though I think Rangitoto is the biggest secondary school in New Zealand with over 300 kids there, but I reckon most of the students will know who he is.
I'd say so, but the thing about Nico is that I'm sure he gets more offers to clean the bloody cobwebs off the roof than he does anything else. But hey, look, he is a genuinely nice guy, and I love working with these guys that have good characters as well as good volleyball players. Those 2 things combined makes for a very special time working with these young athletes. And there's a great response from Trident. Trident are still, they realise that they're 1 set away from walking away with silver instead of gold, so they've come out to fire, haven't they? Starting to see some urgency from them we haven't seen previously. Sometimes that's that whole the underdog status is sometimes a little bit more comfortable for a team to be a little bit behind, so they have to fight their way forward. So now we'll see just how much fight this Trident team have got.
I think if Trident can get a little bit more consistency with their serve, mind you, there we go.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful middle attack, and we haven't seen very many of those from the Rangitoto team, but they decided that there's some option there for them, and that paid back in spades. So a good setting option for the setter. Trident, of course, were pretty powerless to do anything about that, but we'll see. At this stage, I'd say there's a battle of wills about to unfold, and somebody's going to break. And if Trident break, then she's all over, and of course, if Rangitoto break, then we're going to even further along the big dance. Nice save by Campbell Forsyth, a great block by the Trident player just to shut that down.
Again, I think the set was just a little bit too low for him to do anything else with that.
Yep.
I'd say these setters both playing a 5-1 system. They've probably run a marathon this week, and their legs would be hurting.
Yeah, indeed, nice serve there, Ty, and poor pass by the Rangitoto player. Yeah, I think that, like as an ex-setter myself, I think that sometimes you're blessed with teams where you have to do very little work, and sometimes you're cursed by teams where you have to do a lot of running. And either which way, it's great fun being the little court general and making sure that you help to lead a team to a better place. But a lot of these kids here, when they've finished this, they're going to go home and sit down and go, don't move, I don't want to move for the next week. Every single fibre hurts.
There might be a few absentees at school on Monday morning.
It's a likely outcome, that's for sure. Okay, Rangitoto back, having an option for attack. Skelton again using a smart hit to deceive the blockers and defender. Excuse me, Campbell Forsyth thinking there might have been a big hit coming there, so sat on his tailbone a little bit, and then of course when the leg's powerful hit came, he had no place to go but backwards. And there we have it, 7-6. Trident still in the lead though, but Rangitoto slowly but surely doing what they need to do.
Yeah, it's a shame a few of the crowd have thinned out now, just especially if it goes to 5. Of sort of missing the business end of it of this game. But I also understand, like I said earlier, the social sort of starts in 20 minutes. So although my girls won't be there in 20 minutes, I'll be here still. So.
I think my boys set up tents outside so they could be there yesterday.
So again, it's closed right up. I mean, Trident started well with a little break, got up to 3 points, and now Rangitoto are back on top
again. Yep, they have put down. They've decided that their service is going to be something that's going to give them some advantage, and so they've come out powerfully to serve well. Oh, there we go. Risk versus reward. Unfortunately, not such a great serve, but he did create a little bit of a mini break for Rangitoto by getting those 2 big serves in to start with. So risk versus reward had certainly paid off in that instance. But here we go again, Trident on the serve, and we'll see how Rangitoto respond. Just a bit of an easy serve. Great set, dig onto the spot. Skelton again, playing a smart game, giving the work to someone else there. Well done. And Leitz now filling for the kill, unable to convert. So and Skelton unsure what to do there, knowing that he's actually a hitter and he should have been getting out of the way so that the libero could help him through that and so put him into a position to hit.
Yeah, that's the libero's ball all day, unfortunately. But again, maybe a little bit of a tired mind there, and
Yep, just a little bit unsure. Should he set his mate Nico and make sure that he gets the ball well? But of course, as one of the outside hitters, it's his job to be thinking more about his conversion. Anyway, a bit of a discussion unfolding here. Maybe what sort of pizza they should be ordering.
Or maybe they're discussing the kickoff of the Highlanders-Hurricanes Super Rugby game.
It's unlikely.
Yeah, it is unlikely.
But I think what's happening here is that Skelton is ordering the meat lovers. Johan's not so sure if he wants a Hawaiian.
Oh, he's a vegetarian.
Here we have it.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, Trident on the serve. Nice serve, got on straight onto the libero, out to Skelton. Skelton gets a beautiful set, really, really high quality set.
I'd actually like to see one of the teams take control of a set. Like, they're just, they're sort of, I don't know, they're sort of almost waiting to the end, and I'd like them to actually push a little bit harder earlier on in the set and
and try and create that bigger lead.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, what I'm seeing is two teams that only want to use their mental energy when they absolutely have to. So there's a little bit of game management going on. Yeah, it's not particularly nice to watch in some respects because they look a little bit slower, but they're only working when they absolutely have to. Great piece of work by Trident, some positive defence, and then good sense of what was happening to stay just calm and relaxed and then take advantage of that. So here we go again, Trident High School back in the lead, 10 points to 9.
Yeah, we couldn't ask for a closer game, that's for sure. It's just been backwards and forwards the whole time.
Yeah, this is great volleyball. Great set as well. Skelton having to do the work, stopped at the block. Leeds unable to convert as well. Good easy volleyball. Right idea, but Tuai's been given a poor set but has to just do something with it. Set out, Leeds on the option and makes a great kill. And I think coming back to your point before about taking the sort of the set by the scruff of the neck, a lot of these plays are about keeping the ball alive and trying to create a little bit of a mismatch. But in fact, it's you know, I don't know about you with your players, but I certainly tell my players, if you're going 50-50, what you want to start doing is really attacking that ball. Attack 50-50, don't back off.
Yep.
Because your options are very limited once you've given the opposition the ball to play with.
Especially at this level as well. I think, you know, some teams, you know, you can get away with it, but once you get to the business end, you do have to be smart in how you approach things.
Yep. And brave. That's the other thing, is you just got to take on board that you can be confident in the skills that you have. And Skelton there, nice first serve on the first one. Second serve equally strong, and unfortunately the Rangitoto boys couldn't quite control a smart play by Trident, who stay in there, 11 all.
Great pass off that serve, because that was a strong serve and that was right on the money there too, and they got the reward for having a good pass.
Yeah, it's a nice serve again, putting pressure on. Great set. Leeds being asked to deliver and does so yet again.
There's a lot of ball going to the two main hitters of Rangitoto this start of the set. They're certainly asking their big guns to step up here even more. It's just so hard to defend that left-hand hitter from that right-hand side. It's because you don't get the opportunity to play players like that. Oh, that was huge.
That's Campbell Forsyth just letting everybody know that he's still around. He's their premier hitter, the guy who's going to deliver. Hey, and Brendan, I'd just like to add that's 14 pizzas have just arrived.
Crikey Dick.
Crikey Dick,
I won't be eating any.
No. So yeah, no, it's this is a good show, people, and Leeds being asked to deliver yet again. My earlier comments about the setters not being the better setters here at the tournament in the grand scheme of things. There are a couple of guys here who I think are really technically good. But what I like about both of the setters for these teams is they know their people and they are delivering to their people in the best possible way. So I'm really impressed with how they are managing their games.
And that's all you can ask for. I mean, and it shows that they've got those combinations and they're making smart decisions. They're well coached as well.
Great attack by Rangitoto, but saved easily. Tuai still not willing to hit the ball too much and has put Rangitoto right under pressure, who cannot convert. Great work by Trident to keep the rally going, and again to keep putting balls in places where the system is falling apart for Rangitoto. And sometimes Rangitoto are able to master it and get back in, but not on that occasion. And that brings Campbell Forsyth to the line for another crack at winning some points for the Trident boys. Yep. Focused on Leeds that time instead of the libero. Skelton's had to do something, at least with the get the ball going. Hasn't really worked. Puts Tuai out there for another hit. Hasn't quite converted. And Leeds is back on the prowl, unable to convert that time. Back ball to Campbell Forsyth, whose ball just lands on the net and rolls along it and out.
It was a bit unlucky. I thought it might have got a touch off the block there, but obviously not. No. And Rangi have actually been quite good at stopping the big hitter for Trident out there. They've got a big block up there on him, and just obviously he's at times thinking about that in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's half of the pressure, isn't it?
It is.
They've done well for that. But again, you see Rangitoto, so missing a serve there by going for a high-risk serve across court into that small zone between positions 1 and 2 on the court. No risk, no reward. It's that middle of the set when you can actually have a bit of a go at that and see if you can help break a deadlock. And that didn't succeed, but now Rangitoto have just sided out beautifully again, and they will take 15-14 lead in this 4th set. Potentially the last set, or maybe we'll get another one out of this cracking game of schoolboy volleyball.
To be fair, they've been consistent, both teams, with their serving the whole match. They've risked on everything and they haven't gone away from that. So, you know, again, they've stuck to what they've been asked to do, I would say, by both the coaches.
Unfortunately there, very good option by the setter, but he's just pushed his hand into the net, and it's a little bit of a mini break now for Rangitoto. 2 points, it's not a bad start. They've got one of their better float servers now on the line. This is a very aggressive, high-risk serve, and there again puts pressure on Trident to deliver. Hasn't been able to do so, and again, Trident have come up with the error based on that. And in that moment, 17-14 to Rangitoto. The coaches from Trident know it's time to just settle things back down again, take another break, get themselves ready to try and go back into another seesaw battle towards the end. Rangitoto, on the other hand, will be just saying, hey, look, we're on the right track, we're doing the right things, take a break. Don't need too much noise in that huddle right now, just a little bit of affirmation that things are on the right track, we're doing the right job around the right people. And keep calm and carry on, I think would be the way of putting that. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I know 3 points is nothing in this, and there's still a lot of volleyball to be played in this set, but Rangi have at least put themselves in a position where if they're good enough, they can control the set from here. But from what I've seen from Trident, they'll fight back.
They'll come back, yep. Yeah. It's business time now, and so Trident are being asked some big questions. How will they respond?
Oh, great hustle.
Oh, that's a shame. Nice effort though by the Trident guys to save that ball.
See, I'm a bit surprised. I thought that came back around the outside of the aerial again.
Yeah,
but I'm not in a great position here, but just looking at the angle.
I would agree. I think that's quite right. The only thing that may have occurred is that it flew outside of the antenna on the original pass out, but I couldn't see that from here. Anyway, same server's on the line, and he hasn't been able to deliver that time, but again, as earlier in the set, he's created a situation with good service pressure that they got a 3-point run, and the first time he did that, it was a 2-point run before he made his error. So that high-risk serving certainly paid off for them. And again, that young man would be considered one of the foot soldiers for this team. You would hardly recognise him as, because we're talking about Leitz and we're talking about Skelton an awful lot, but that guy has delivered 5 points into this set all on his own just by putting that pressure on with a great serve. So full credit to him. And here we go now, the setter for Rangitoto, again putting the pressure on.
There's a bit of energy in those Rangi boys at the moment. They can smell something.
They can smell something in the water, that's for sure.
Yeah.
20 points to 15. It's all of a sudden it's starting to blow out a little bit, and Trident are a little bit powerless here to do anything about it under the pressure of these very, very good serves from the Rangitoto team. Yeah, here we go, and not able to pick that up, but a good scrambling effort by Rangitoto from what ended up being a very strong Trident attack.
A couple of big points here too. I mean, when it gets, they're all big points, but as it gets closer to the end of the set and the end of a match, they just get magnified a little bit.
Sure do.
So I just want to see who steps up here and who says, I'll take responsibility and just be aggressive and try and win these points.
And again, Trident have got every opportunity to get themselves back in the game with some targeted work in there. They've targeted Leitz on a Leitz serve, have picked him up because of it, and now he's used, in fact, Leitz has used Campbell, who lost a little bit of sight there in the block, and was able to cause a wipe off. And each of these points now becomes pretty critical And that was one of 4 that's required left now for Rangitoto. Trident High School have got to come back up with some answers now. Certainly a good side out would certainly help that along the way. Skelton swings one out. Again, high risk. And again, they're in a position that they can create a bit more risk with their serves. If it doesn't pay off, they've still got a 4-point lead. So again, some just smart, intelligent volleyball by both teams in those critical moments. How they can best utilise them. Again, taking the steam out of the ball has created a setting error, and instead of big powerful serves, they've gone for that float serve which takes the energy out. Skelton's had to create the energy, he was unable to control it, and of course, and then all of a sudden there's a point. All of a sudden we're back to 3 points, and Trident get another point here. Things could get pretty interesting, and Leitz has been asked to swing, and again the big man steps up. Beautiful response from him.
Yeah, knowing where it's going is one thing, stopping it's another.
Yeah.
That's a classic case there. They were defensively, they were in exactly the right position, but it was just such a good hit.
3 points to go for Rangitoto. Can they close this thing out and call themselves the 2021 Schools National Champions? One step closer, that's for sure. Leitz does it again. Way to step up, Nico Leitz.
Yep.
That's what big players do. Tall ones being that as well. And I'm happy for those Rangitoto boys. They've taken this end of the set again by the scruff of the neck. And we're starting to see now those last couple of points where the adrenaline starts to ramp up. You know there's something going on here that you can deal with. A great defense again. Rangitoto working hard for the point, unable to save it. And again, who was there to save Trident? But Campbell Forsyth.
Yeah, I think Rangi have certainly got control at the moment. I know it's only 4 points, but with 2 points to go, they've certainly got the momentum with them at the moment. And I think if they just make smart decisions, that's going to be very hard for them not to walk away with this championship.
Agreed, and there's a poor pass by the libero under pressure. Leitz having to do something with it. Trident got the save and have not been able to take advantage of the pressure they created. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Leitz has come up big, hasn't he, in the back end of this set.
Back end of this set, yep, absolutely. Which is exactly what you want from your premier players. This kid is going to have a big future in this game if this is the pathway he chooses to take. And right now he's probably on a jump serve to win the national championships. Can he do it? No, he can't, not on this occasion. That's what we know in our game as a jug serve, unfortunately.
Well, it depends what age you are. With school
that's
boy
apple
and
juice,
girl level,
ladies and gentlemen.
It's a cupcake serve, we call it.
It's a cupcake serve, is it? Okay,
yep.
No problem at all.
Forsyth
having to serve for the match to try and keep them in it. Great serve from him. Leitz is tasked with the job of winning a national championship and has done so.
There we go.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, a dejected but hard-working team of warriors. Trident have not won their championship today, but all congratulations and salutations go to Rangitoto High School, 2021 national champions. Great game.
Great way to end the week, and just big shout out to VNZ, especially all the volunteers, coaches, managers, players, even Manawatu Volleyball, and we've mentioned them all before, but look forward to doing it all again in 2022.
Absolutely.
Just be fantastic. Thanks for tuning in, those who have around New Zealand and around the world. It's been a pleasure to be involved with trying to give you a little bit of insight, listening to some of the rubbish we may have said, but hopefully it's all, you've enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you next year.
See you next year, everybody. Thanks for your time. Congratulations, Rangitoto, and congratulations to all of the teams that participated this week. It's been a big effort, a big drive to get through this week, and I'm incredibly proud of what volleyball has been able to do here in the mighty Manawatu. Congratulations, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you next year.